Does anybody remember that old Smash Bros. NES game from Rebirth Gaming? That Flash game? Came out in like 2008. I played around with it a little bit back then, but then I kind of distanced myself from it because I was thinking, this would be really wild to be able to play on an actual NES rather than have to turn my computer on to be able to play it. Is there a way to download it? Well, still. Also, for some reason in recent years, I've been unable to find that Flash game anywhere on the web. There are videos and screenshots of it available. That's about it. Or maybe the creator took it down, or maybe it's just buried in the search results now. I mean, there are other Flash games up now that have their own take on the NES-style Smash Bros. Game idea. And there's Kart Fighter, and people may say that Kart Fighter is, the only way to play something like Smash Bros. On the NES. But like I said at the end of my Kart Fighter episode of My Die Game, I beg to differ. There is an 8-bit NES-style model of almost every character from the first Smash Bros. For N64 and Melee, the one for GameCube, that was officially designed by somebody associated with Nintendo. Maybe Brawl and 4 too. I don't play those ones very often. I don't have anything against anybody who does play them. I don't have anything against those games. All I'm saying is whenever I'm up for some Smash Bros. Action, the time I usually spend for that is usually with the N64 Smash Bros. And Melee. The ones for which I have nostalgia from when I played them when I was a kid. It wouldn't be a bad idea to include characters from the later titles also. If an 8-bit model of whichever characters in the Smash Bros. Games was never released by someone at Nintendo, then has there been one patched or created by somebody from the ROM hacking or ROM homebrewing community? If you wanted to put an 8-bit Sonic in the game, could you use the Sonic from the unofficial Sonic NES? You ever played Extra Mario Bros. On the NES? That Mario model is actually from Super Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy. You could use the models of, say, Pikachu and Jigglypuff from the Game Boy Pokemon games. Maybe you could use the color schemes on those characters that they would have if you were to, say, play those Game Boy carts on something like the Game Boy Advance SP or the GameCube Game Boy Player. Whatever colors are available on those old gray Game Boy carts. You ever seen any of those black Game Boy carts? Did you know that those play in full color on a GBA or a GB player? And then there was Game Boy Color. Yeah, I really don't get what happened there, but it's interesting stuff, isn't it? But anyway, if you feel that the character models from the old GB games could use a little more detail, like if you want to patch it onto them, hey, I wouldn't stop you. If an 8-bit model of any character would need to be newly created, then I wouldn't doubt that one can be. I mean, if you can homebrew, you can create one. Maybe you could use the model of Ninten from Earthbound Zero instead of Ness. Or maybe you could even patch Ninten to make him look like an 8-bit Ness. Maybe Ninten could be something like an unlockable character. Nobody should expect the camera views to be zooming in and out while scrolling all over the place like that Rebirth Gaming game did. I imagine that the NES cannot handle that. But I don't see why the view wouldn't at least be able to scroll side to side, even with up to 4 players. Yes, 4 players on the NES, using the NES Four Score. Nightmare on Elm Street could do it. Now think of how wild that would be, playing a 4-player Smash Bros. Style NES game on the original NES hardware. The soundtrack to a Smash Bros. Style NES game would probably need to be done from the ground up. I mean, the right kind of composer with the right kind of software could, say, compose or program 8-bit replicas of Smash Bros. 64 and Smash Bros. Melee menu screen themes and stuff. And the other little themes that play at whatever times, like the end credits, The Rebirth gaming game had music and sounds that didn't really sound 8-bit and could not directly translate to being able to play through the NES's sound chip. The NES can output sounds that resemble a human voice, as long as the voice clip is designed or programmed right. If you want an announcer in the game that says all the characters' names and stuff. There are some NES games that say certain phrases, and I don't know how good of an example this is, but Alex Kidd, The Lost Stars for the Sega Master System, Sega's 8-bit console, audibly says words.
Find the miracle ball.
It can be done. I mean, have you played a homebrew NES game like Lawnmower or Mr. Splash? It would likely take time and a lot of work, but the possibilities are there.